Roles of a denizen. A content creator is a user that creates posts and is rewarded based on the quality of their content. A content evaluator is a user that helps assess the quality of content and enforces community standards. The evaluator is effectively taking part in a marketplace to curate content and is rewarded for early evaluation. A content consumer is a user that wishes to find and consume the most valuable content in a given subject area or within a community. A lair owner is a person holding tokenized ownership of all or part of a community lair. Owners are rewarded with a portion of all mining activity happening within their lair. Owners are incentivized to build the best community of content creators and evaluators.
Hello, welcome to Thursday, another Den governance call for the Den.Social platform. This is the governance call for February 3rd, 2022. Joe Rhodes, founder and architect of Dragon Chain, and what is your position with the Den entity? Are you CEO over there too? I sometimes forget.
I don't think we have a CEO. I think it is.
No?
Yeah, I'm the architect of Den. That you could say.
Yeah, that's true.
But,
that's true.
You know, but otherwise, yeah.
So yeah. Welcome back to another week of talking about what we're doing.
Yes.
So,
yes,
said it's February. We've got layer proposals open. We've got people putting layer proposals in already, which is great. I was looking through a little bit of them earlier. We'll go through them. There's quite a few already, so I'm not going to go in and pick read each one of them, but I'll go through and point out what's been proposed so
That's
far.
good, because I've not even gotten to. I saw two just that happened to come up in the feed when I was there, but I
noticed we've got both an Apple and an Android layer proposed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
This would be an interesting competition.
Yeah.
We've had those in the past, so that's awesome.
Oh, hello from Serbia. Awesome. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for tuning in.
Yes. Right
we have a new GI interface on mobile. That update, I was just checking mine. Looks like it did come through. Easier to navigate. Looks like what it does on the web, where you have the icons for sorting, filtering what category, just the ones I can vote on, just the ones that everybody else. What else? We have, I'm going to bring up an example of what our site-wide DinGov is going to look like. That's going to be the, in addition to the layer governance tools, this is the stuff that the DAO kind of entity would collectively vote on stuff. And then we can talk about that if we find our way into into that category a little bit and brainstorming. So let's see. We know current situation layers live, and then we did have two runners up. Axie Infinity and Travel and Explore both paid their matter fee as runners up, so those are getting created too. I'll be interested to see how Axie Infinity is used, because you could theoretically you could remonetize a community that's already monetizing in game. Like if you have a gaming guild or something,
right?
Then you could just coordinating and talking about it in your own layer would just remonetize again. It's kind of like similar to what some of these DeFi things do, where they're like, oh, okay, well, you're doing this over here and it makes money. Well, take that and talk about it over here. It makes money on your money. I don't know. I hope people game it like that.
Oh no, yeah, I hope I'm working. I mean, I think theoretically, I don't know anything about the game. I've seen small clips of it, but I don't know much about it, right? So, if there was something where they would have a team or a guild or something, they could coordinate.
Right. So I've never played it myself. I don't have any experience with it. I've just read about it, and I read about how it became really popular in one spot, and it turned into organized kind of communities built around this game because it's play to earn, and so people are able to use it to actually subsidize income as a side hustle, which is dope.
That's awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's an overview of the updates.
Awesome. So we just go down through each one. Do you want?
That's what I figured. I wanted to
Okay.
pull up the proposals and look at those. I've got it
Okay. So
already
the
open.
LCP proposals are open until next Monday, I think, and that gives them time to enter them in for Tuesday when the commit phase starts. So you still have a few days. You have the weekend to go and make any other proposals. I don't know how many there are. So let's, I guess, pull them up, right?
Yeah, for sure. Here we go. Here we go.
Speaking of which, the LCP layer itself is themed for any Adventure Time fans or former fans as the LSP, just because for stupid reasons. No one's ever
Okay.
asked us to change it.
I was wondering about that because I never watched Adventure Time myself,
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
wasn't
So
familiar.
it's
I didn't
the
know how it
lumpy
related.
space princess.
Okay. I
And it's
see what
just
you're
it was
saying.
good. It's it's just cool looking and stuff. So that I just threw it in there as a joke the first time, and it's never
That's what
been
I look
changed.
for when
So
I'm looking for it. Is like the pink thing, because there's
yeah,
so many words. It's just like words, words. The pink
yep.
thing. Yeah.
So it's our mascot, I guess. So anyway,
Yeah.
right on.
All right.
Okay.
So I went down and just went to the earliest one, so that we just do them in order real quick. So
Chill
Coinier
zone.
is proposing a shill zone. It's funny. I had an idea for like a open mic show, and have like a shill and tell section, like a show and tell, talk about your favorite thing.
That's not a bad. That's not even a bad alternate name for this.
Right.
Which
Yeah.
could be cool if you. It's like, look, if I don't want that, I'll stay away from it. But it would be kind of cool if you want that,
Yep.
because that's not welcome anywhere else, really.
Yeah. Make
Usually,
a spot for it.
yeah, it's kind of
Like an organized shill and tell could actually be interesting.
I love it. I love it.
Liquid Lobotomy put in a few proposals with different concepts. So there's one for running, one for World of Disney,
Hmm.
for homeschooling,
Hmm.
for Viva Las Vegas,
Okay.
for triathlon, which seems related to running, for Parks and Rec, National Parks and Rec. So that would be, I guess, like a competitor or a sister
Outdoors.
to outdoors, and maybe even like travel to some extent.
Hmm.
Skiing and snowboarding, again with the there's sports and travel layers. It's interesting to see how different variants
And I will
come in.
say, one of the issues right now, before you go further,
Yeah,
is
sure.
sometimes, like I get very anxious because I'm OCD, so I get very anxious about it. It's like, oh, it kind of belongs here, but I could see it being over there. When we get, and it'll be when we have site-wide governance turned on, one of the first things will be priorities, and one of those features that we want to gauge interest in for what should be the next priority is the formal or structural cross post, where
Yes. Yeah.
where you would be rewarded for finding content that would either have a better home somewhere else, or maybe at least an additional bit of monetization on a different community, that you would be incentivized, as would the creator, but the creator might not care. And you're like, well, you should have posted this over here. You don't have to tell them that. You just cross post, and they don't
Yeah, I
get
guess really you're
penalized.
outsourcing the work of
Yeah,
like if the creator doesn't want to go through and like figure out every like
right,
cross
right.
post that it could apply to,
Yeah,
somebody else could basically
yeah.
outsource the
And
labor of
yeah,
identifying correctly and not
yeah,
spammingly,
yeah,
but identifying like where else it could,
yeah.
what
And
other
there's no
conversations it
risk.
could belong in.
Yeah, there's no risk to the original content creator if it's a bad choice.
Yeah,
But
the
the
risk would
beauty
have to be
is,
on the cross poster, wouldn't it?
yeah, and the beauty is that it would be educational, because it's like, I didn't even know that, and I didn't even think about this being in that community, but it makes sense, right? So next time I'll do that, right? That would be helpful without having to explain it in a reply or anything else. So
That would be much more helpful. That's kind of what the wrong layer tag is for.
yeah,
And I feel like that could even go away whenever cross posting came in,
maybe,
because
maybe.
if there's a better layer for it, just cross post it in there.
Hmm.
Like, hey, this guy posted it in the wrong layer. You guys might actually, want to know about this,
Right.
and then it would show up to the OP, and
Yep.
then
Mhm.
and then
And
they
it
would
benefits. I mean,
hmm?
the content for the additional matter generation, it would benefit the original poster. So
Right, right, cool. Yeah,
cool.
that'll be a good feature. And we've got enough. At the beginning, we didn't have enough overlapping to even care about that with cross
Right.
posting,
Right.
but now that we do, that makes it
Yeah.
interesting.
It's all designed. We have it all written up. We just haven't ever had the. Okay. So skiing, snowboarding,
Right. So
book club.
book club.
Okay.
Shill Zone. This is the boosted version. So
boosted,
it shows
yes.
up again. Liquid lobotomy with Rick Sanchez as like a whole layer for Rick Sanchez.
I've only ever maybe watched a portion of any of those shows ever, so I don't know anything about.
I like them. I think they're great. Some of the some of the jokes get old to me, but I think it's clever.
Cool.
I would subscribe to that.
Man, liquid lobotomy. How many? 12?
Yeah, all of them.
10?
Every layer. There's gonna be no more categories left. Wizards and wands. If there's Harry Potter fans, we can gather on wizards and
okay.
wands.
That's probably
There
smart.
is different user.
Dave
So
Rocks.
liquid lobotomy. Thank you for the proposals. That was quite a lot, but thank you
Excellent.
for those. They seem to be formatted well, so I haven't picked them apart yet. So we have play to earn. We were talking about Axie Infinity. This would be like a general purpose play to earn, right?
Mhm.
So kind of Den.Ception, play to earn within play to earn on a play to earn profile platform.
A lot of people will love that.
Yeah, it's play to earn all the way down.
And there people will post their stuff that's also hosted on other platforms.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's like a web or spaghetti or something, you know. Comics layer, liquid lobotomy again, and here's where we get into the Apple layer from Alxens. Place for the Appleholics.
Will Apple have extra features of commoditization that you have to pay extra to have a voting widget? And
yeah, like you're able like there's extra energy fees in that one for no reason. Like when you go into Apple, normally if you reply, it's 2 energy. But in the Apple layer, if you reply, it's for some reason it's 8. I have no idea why.
Oh, because it's shiny.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Metaverse. Proposal
Okay.
on the metaverse. That's a good idea. We even have an underused location in metaverse it's mine, but I'm doing Den.Social stuff with it, so I could use that to coordinate.
That'd be awesome. Okay. Crypto
Let's
Legend.
see, current news layer for current news.
We don't have because we have tech news, right? We don't have, and we have a politics.
Tech news.
We don't have
politics.
a
news. Do we have? No, I don't think we have a
No,
general
general
purpose
news.
like there was a firefighters got a cat out of a tree in this one town news place.
Right.
So that would be good.
Right. The tags on that will be intense, I'm sure. So.
There's the announcement.
Proposals.
Ask Den.
Sebedinkus.
What is Ask Den? From Sebedinkus. Focus of this layer is to ask and answer questions that elicit thought-provoking discussions as well as some lighter questions, hopefully entertain you and help you. Oh, so it's like an AMA kind of thing. Like ask, would it be, let's see. Yeah, just sharing each other's expertise, it sounds like. Without going through it too much. I have to go in and, did I just refresh? There's the droid one. I lost my place, so I'll go down now, I guess.
That's all right. We'll meet.
It just popped at the top all of a sudden. Miscellaneous issues. This one reads a little bit like the advice layer.
Somebody actually said that, and he said, "Oh, it's not like that." So I don't. Yeah, I saw that one. Yeah. He or she. I don't know how to do this.
Then droid. So the I like the tattoo. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, cool. I didn't see that either. That's good.
And then drones. That would be interesting because photography and drones could cross over.
And Jacob Wayne posts a lot of stuff. Drone photography. That'd be great.
And then there's metaverse from hyperinflationary. Wait, are there 2 metaverses? Hold on. Ask Den. Metaverse. Oh, same person. Okay.
I'm willing to look at them. So one of them will happen.
Cool.
I guess, unless one of those was boosted or something.
This would be interesting. I saw this pop in, anti-work, and I was just thinking, how interesting would it be to have both, to have more and more communities that have been kicked off of Reddit and stuff.
Yes.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, because we have the Donald that was banned on Reddit, and we have we didn't. I think somebody reached out to, and there was some confusion that the official account or this account on Twitter was acting like it was, but it wasn't the official account of what was the group that was doing all of the silver and
Wall Street Bets.
Yes, Wall Street Bets. Right.
Gotcha,
we could potentially get that on here, and we could potentially get Reddit Pizzagate as well that's long ago. But anyway, I don't know.
But yeah,
Anybody's interested
and
in any of that,
anti-work
but it'd be cool.
is welcome to open a layer and talk about it. In fact, I think that there's a unique opportunity for that community, because if you think about how much work they have put into developing their Reddit community that just got
Yes.
wiped out. Somebody
Yes.
decided, we don't want you. All of that work and communication and coordination, like that's work for. I mean, I know it's anti-work, but they worked hard on that community, and that work would have been rewarded and paid
By the
out
way,
even on Den, which is kind of like their thing. I think that would be right up their alley.
it's pretty cool. The
Yeah.
things they're already doing, they'll get paid for.
Mm-hmm.
What? And I put Laura in on this. It'd be awesome. What was the cause or declared reason for the
I don't remember. I know that there was an interview on, I don't know if
Fox
it was
News?
Fox or something, Fox
Yeah.
News, and then there was some fallout from that because I didn't watch the interview, so I can't really comment on it. But something happened with that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if the interview came from, I don't know if that came from what happened or if what happened came from that. I don't know.
I
which way
think it
around
came
was.
from a person who may or may not, and I don't know this, may or may not have been. The way I read it is they weren't necessarily the leader of this group. But they were one of the moderators or something. So they had
Mhm.
some position of authority. That news org reached out to them, and the group generally all either voted or said, "Hey, let's not talk to them." And this person did anyway,
Oh,
and
okay.
it was not apparently didn't go well. Which it's hard.
Well,
Anything like that's hard. So
Sibidingus, if you're watching this, reply and explain what happened if you have firsthand knowledge on that. That'd be interesting.
yeah. But either way, it's very telling to have. Q is the other one that Den has.
Oh, okay,
that was
right.
on chain. That is, I think it only exists in one other place on the internet right now.
Oh, really?
And
Okay.
and we happen to have it on blockchain, and we did that precisely because we knew it was going to get banned at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, that is interesting. Just like recording what happened for factual sake,
Yep.
for history.
Yep.
There is what to mine. Cool. So we've got a mining one and a what to mine one. Now it'll go in there. Sounds like this one will direct you more like recommendations, and mining might just be if you
After
already
we
know
do
what you're
this,
mining.
if we do a quick look, I want to see where mining is positioned.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't even remember.
Meta drones droid. Okay. So that's him. So let's go look at it. Let's check it out. So once it opens back up, let's see what the positions are currently. So this is by lore.
You can do it. You can click. Although I think
Number 9.
you can do it by title. Okay, never mind. You don't even need to.
So that one is 500,000, and the top one right now is 2.3 for airdrops. So we would need, let's see about unique voters. 48, 32, 30, 30, 30. We would have to double our unique voters in mining to get that up there. Because I know you and I have both been talking about wanting to get back into CPU mining, since that's a little bit like it's kind of doable again.
It'd be fun.
Yeah, hobby stuff.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, that's where that sits.
Cool.
And then
Okay.
back to where I was.
Next.
Here we go. Right on. So there's layers. Layer proposals are open. If you didn't see what you wanted in there, go propose it. If you do have an idea for one, go see if it's already proposed, and go see if it's already a layer, and then if not, propose it.
Right. Do we have a way to show the mobile interface?
I don't have that fancy screen share thing, to be honest with you.
We had a. It's possible we could do it, but it might be. I mean, if you want, I can try. Let me see here. I will try. Why not? You know what? I probably wouldn't be able to, because I would have to, and I don't know. It might break my connection because I'd be logging in with the same account. I'm not going to try it.
Okay, but you can speak to it. It's just like the.
If you go to the sidebar,
Mm-hmm.
so if you go on your mobile, you click in the lower right and the hamburger menu to open the slider sidebar. There's a governance button there now, and it will effectively bring you to a very similar, functionally similar, or almost, I think it's a feature parity with web on the same governance window, where you can go by, here, let's see, what is it? It is, you can look at available and pending governance issues. That is anything that you can vote on right now, which will in the future include the site-wide as well. The next button is a little feather that says governance issues that are proposed by me. So just your own issues, so you can kind of track them pretty quickly, find them. The next is historical, which is anything you voted on in the past. And then the last is everything global. That is, even the things you can't vote on, you can go and look at what's going on. And then you can filter it. You can sort it, not filter it. You can sort it by either last modified or created date. And the last modified is nice because anytime anybody votes, anytime there's a resolution, or anytime something is created, it goes to the top of the list. So you can kind of see where all the activity is happening up there at the top. So that's it. And it's now on mobile. It all works. The other thing that's interesting that it took us a couple of passes to get, and we rolled it out with this, is that now on any of the governance issues, and it won't work on the older ones. I think it had to have a data switch in it for which is only on the newer issues. You can now go into the interface on mobile or web, and you can actually reply to the governance issue and have a full discussion inside of that thread, so that if there's a question on what do you mean by this, or what does that tag mean, or would you consider a different type of configuration change or something, you can all talk about it there. It's beautiful. So,
I'm sorry, I was just trying to bring it up on my phone, and it it caused a problem, just like I figured it might.
Fine. Also, the other interesting piece is you can now vote with energy, not inside the governance issues, but you can actually say, "Oh, that's a really good one," so you can give them some energy. So a person proposing something can potentially even earn some matter with it. So anyway, cool stuff.
I had these screenshots I wanted to bring up too, which is pretty close to how the next thing I wanted to talk about was this, right?
Site-wide, yeah.
Site-wide stuff. So this is how we've got it looking right now, and there's different. If you read the proposal or the discussion about it when it was first talked about and implemented, we talked about 3 different voting groups. So there would be the creators group of voters, the owners group, and then the founders group, and that would be set up by and also there's LP split between 2 of those. So you've got creators who have some weight based on behavioral data.
Pure behavior, yeah.
And then the other part of that, sorry, my brain's wigging out right now. The other part of that is LP. So if you add LP to Uniswap v3 with Matter, then you get you can think of it as like extra weight for voting, because you also provide liquidity for that asset for Matter. And then for the owner, it comes. This is my favorite one because it comes from an emission from the lot that's held. So since lot is not like from one layer to the next is not equal. They have completely different communities and different people that subscribe to those communities. They have different amounts of matter that get mined each day from holding on to those.
And different number of tokens as well.
Different number of tokens too. Yeah, different number of tokens. Dramatically different number of tokens. So to level that playing field, it was amazing how easy it was once we figured out, like, all of these have an emission that's directly depending on like the health and the liveliness of that layer. So you could just measure the emissions of, you can measure the mining or the reward coming from holding one of those, and there's your number that you give for weight for the ownership vote. And then they have the same thing too, where you can add lore instead of matter to get the other half of that pie, which is the LP side of it.
And if you look at it, and the thing I'm really interested in seeing the effect is theoretically, and I know that in practice you will have a lot of this. You'll have a lot of people that never bring liquidity in. It's like, no, I'm here to do the thing. I either make content or I love working, building these communities, whatever else, that you're going to be purely on the behavior side. And there might literally be people who are, and we've even seen it in the 2021, we think, though we don't know, because we don't know all of these people, in the 2021 governance, where there was only liquidity, that the people had liquidity and had governance tokens for 2021 that didn't partake in the behavior and content and all the rest of that. As far as we know, they could have been evaluating, who knows. But the crazy thing about this is that we already know the creator community, the content creators might in some governance issues have differences of opinion with the people who work more on the lower side of the house with let's say you had a governance issue that said we want to increase the pool availability for the owners. So we're going to take away from the creator, which is very high to attract the content, but maybe it needs to be adjusted. And so they might be there might be differing opinions there. So we already knew those would potentially have an effect. But then there's also the fact that you might have a liquidity side that we want to focus more on the crypto, on the Ethereum side and more crypto side, that they might weigh in much differently than the behavior. So you might have the owner and creator behavior joining forces as a single vote against the two liquidity as a single
because
vote.
there's different things that you can find common ground on. It isn't just the category that you happen to be in based on that vote. It's like like you were saying, there's people that are going to have sweat equity that might have different opinions than people that have economic equity or something like that, like where they put in, or not economic, but
and
what I'm saying.
Totally. And by the way, we split these roles up from the beginning based upon historical happenings on other platforms. Like, say, if you look at Dig, you look at Reddit, there are a few others, but there have been notable issues when one of these entities is acquired by some, and so all of the entire culture changes, and it destroys. Dig was destroyed. Reddit, I don't know, depending on what you think, has been destroyed for a while or not. But that this is a protection against that. That even if the founder vote was acquired, that the actual denizens will, have a lot of ability to control.
I don't know if it was you that brought this example up. I think it might have been. We were talking about when YouTube got acquired, that like the company made out well, but all the creators didn't really get anything. People that put in all of the effort to build it. It's kind of the same problem I have, when I talk to my friends about why they should stop Facebook. It's like, look, man, it's just the stuff's built in a way that's how they built it back then. They didn't think of you as doing work. They thought of you they thought of themselves as providing you a platform. It's kind of like when I used to book bands and get offered to exposure as payment, that kind of thing.
Well, I'll tell you,
but depends.
Back in that period when Facebook got really, really big, by the way, with shadow accounts and bots, it was BS. The early numbers on how fast they grew, total BS. But it was interesting because the narrative. So if you were talking to anybody who was either trying to help you raise money for a project or was wanting to invest, they wanted to know your integration with Facebook. Why? Because it was the model to gather as much info on your users as possible, even though it didn't make any sense for your actual business model. They were trying to convert everything to be this advertising model that would be centered on Facebook, and it was stupid for the actual users.
I think that advertising model in general has been eating the internet for so long that it's just not as useful as it used to be. Just the internet in general. It's more difficult. Like whenever I get off into a rant that's not about Den at all. Never mind.
so let's at least go over this. So on the site-wide governance, this should be explained. So if you look at it, there are 3 votes. You can look on the bottom. So this person, Tim, has voted on. Here on this option, they voted on option 2. So there's a governance issue. Okay, they voted on option 2, and we might talk about MISC versus config at the end of this. But so this is a miscellaneous vote, which means there could be up to 13 options, just like in layer governance. But it would be like, say something like, hey, we're looking at these 4 features. Which one's most important, right? And people could vote on it, something like that. So in this case, this person has voted on option 2, and you can see as soon as you vote on it that these pie slices happen. So if you look at the creator role, that the left side is the liquidity and the right side is the behavior, right? So meaning that in total, and what is it? Looks like maybe a quarter of the liquidity side has voted in favor of option 2, and
Right.
half of the behavior side has voted for option 2. All right.
Yep. Yep.
And for the owner, you can do the similar. For the founder, you can say it's a little more than half of the founders have voted for this. Okay. Now, if you look at the pop-up, so they're hovering over an option they didn't vote on, right? And
Yes.
the
Up here
black,
over option 1.
yeah. So the black is this option. The white is all other options, which in this case, although it doesn't actually match, so this is not real data, would be what is blue below. The white should match what's blue below, and then the gray is undecided. So, and that's just for the liquidity.
Yeah, and just to point out again, that is a
That's
white
close.
pie thing that isn't missing. They're actually it's just white.
Right. And we could adjust some of that later, but go to the next picture. This is when
Yep.
you're
And so this
hovering
is when
over
you're
one.
hovering over one that you did vote on.
Yeah, and there is an update to this that it will show all three of the slices as well. This option versus undecided versus all other options. So for even if all other options is 0, it'll still show up a line. All other options, nobody else is weighed in. So
That's great. So that lets you break down like at a glance
and
look at it and see who voted, like in general what
Yeah.
categories of people voted for what.
And you would be able to change your vote. I think this is the way we're going to roll out. We'll see, but you will be able to change your vote until it resolves. It will resolve as soon as, if you consider each of those rolls, each of those pies, as what would be resolved in a layer governance, that once enough people have voted for an option that there is not enough uncommitted lot to overcome that option, then that option wins, right? And it's resolved. And that's how a resolution occurs. The primary resolution occurs in layer governance. Secondary is after a week. After a week, there's the majority, not even the majority. It is whichever option gets the most votes. With this, it is going to be, let's say the creator vote is resolved, but you can still change it until either of the other two resolve. Once a second vote resolves, that it's resolved, and otherwise it will resolve in a week or be, I can't remember what they call it, but it'll be done, decided in a week.
So you think of these as 3 votes, 2 out of 3. If 2 of these resolve, then and they're both in the same direction, then it would immediately pass. But if they both resolved and they both resolved in different directions, it would still be open until the third one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And exactly. If they were contested, then you'd have the tiebreaker, or the time would be whichever one had the most votes at the end after a week.
After time's out. Yep.
Another thing to note is that the creator and owner are split by behavior and liquidity. The founder vote is pure lot, and that founder vote will be pure lot as held in this the new Den.Social layer, which we can show in a minute. And that is the founders. That's the team. Dragon Chain has some, so on. And there was one more piece that was interesting. That's the miscellaneous versus config votes. So the config votes would be layer changes, like say with the
background,
banner,
banner or something
the
for
avatar,
the Den.Social layer itself.
Yeah, for the layer itself, that's all going to be assigned to the founder. So any config GI vote will be entirely decided by the founder vote. It's the simplest way because it's pure lot. And any vote that goes to the full site to all denizens will be any misc vote. So it'll be the things about the system that we're deciding are all going to be miscellaneous GI.
Oh, I see what you're saying. That's interesting. Yeah. So
it was just something we had to do to make it simple. We had a couple of options, but a lot of them required a lot more code. Yeah. So, and it made sense because it's like, okay.
So whenever you use the misc GI feature, so as a founder, a lot holder in the Den.Social layer,
right?
You're saying that if you create a governance issue in that layer, and then you choose the GI type, that it would be a site-wide, like everybody on the website on Den votes on that, not just in the Den.Social layer.
Right.
But whenever we do the config. It's just
Yeah, we change the banner.
yeah.
We,
That's
you know,
yeah. That's
yeah,
that's
yeah.
pretty good. I think that's pretty good.
And then the other bit is, uh, let's see here. There was one more thing. I'm gonna blank on it now. Um, oh, who gets to propose
Yeah.
miscellaneous? So on the config stuff for the layer, anybody with lot, anybody who is a founder could propose a new banner. That's not a big deal. For a site wide, because there's a tremendous chance to spam a lot of people. The start, and we will see when it rolls out, because I think this is what they're going to do. They're going to take the top 100 denizens based upon the aggregate vote across these three. It might be just a behavior. I can't remember if it includes the liquidity or not, but only those top 100 could actually propose a MISC vote. We did that so it wasn't just limited to us, the founders, or anything else. It's broader, but it's not just somebody who pops into the site on day one, right? So, we'll see if that's appropriate. That'll be a governance change if it isn't.
Yeah, I'm curious if it'll be if it'll end up being that, or if it'll end up being if it's simpler to have it to where whoever's a lot holder in the Den.DAO is just the same as the rest of the layers, that kind of thing.
And in the very least, if when that becomes more broadly distributed than less than 10 holders, then that would be a little more appropriate. So it's just right now.
How do you measure top 100?
Based upon the actual measures in the rules here. The thing I can't remember is if they're including liquidity or not.
Because we already have that system that weights people based on behavior. So then you could. Okay, I see exactly what you're saying.
So if you're a heavy contributor,
cool,
or you own a lot, you're going to be in that list. Or if you, and I think they're including liquidity. So if you had a lot of liquidity, you'd be on that list too. So
that's pretty cool. That actually is pretty cool. I like that, because that, I've say it a lot, but having at least an option somewhere that you could work your way up to owner, from any new user that pays nothing, to have the right friction in the right places to make sure that isn't abused, of course. But for anybody to, if you want to do that, and if that's the only way you can do it, that there is a path there. So that's important to me, and it's because it's unique, and like we were talking about Axie Infinity. The reason I never got into that was because I had to buy this bird thing to play. You know what I mean? So
and so we could go straight to the Den.DAO and the brainstorming there, right? So
so we have
historically we had a Den governance 2021 layer, and the plan at the very beginning was to have, and it's what we did. We had liquidity that was locked, and then certain measured amounts of liquidity would get you one governance lot token. And so you could have a governance lot token, and there were 20 that were matter based, 20 that were lore based, and 20 that were Den entity based, right?
Right. So still 3 categories.
Yeah. And we were going to roll into a 2022 model that repeated it but adjusted or anything. And instead we realized that the fees were so ridiculous that it was so, I don't want to say brittle, but it was so stringent that you had to lock it for the entire calendar year. That reduces a lot of the people that would participate, right? And that it would, by the way, because it was only liquidity based, that the people who were actually engaging on the platform weren't part of that. So we included the liquidity and we included the behavior with this, and we rolled out this new layer. Instead of saying 2022, this will be ongoing. This will be forever. Now it's totally open if the governance, if the users want to adjust the formula, or we have a couple that I know we're going to want to do, but I purposely asked to wait to do them so we can get better feedback. And that's like, say, matter tipping is not accounted for right now, and I think matter boosting maybe is not accounted for, and we probably will want to, but I wanted to wait to keep stuff simple on the way out.
Okay.
And that we would be able to adjust anything. We can even say, hey, let's add another category to maybe theoretically you could add another board vote. I don't know if you do that, but
if it balances well enough, yeah.
Yeah. So it's up to everyone. But anyway, it's the Den.DAO layer now. And I believe can you look at layer info? I think that the lot's already in there. I don't think it's distributed yet on Ethereum. That is the official lot, I believe, have not been created.
Cool. I didn't know that.
But they are accounted for. And it's all closed down, so there's not any activity in there yet anyway. So, and it looks like we have reputation requirements too. I didn't know. That is good. Okay, cool.
Oh, good. My business account has a good rep on the site. Good to know.
Good deal.
I wasn't sure when I
awesome.
signed into it.
Right on.
Cool. Yeah, that's great. That's going to be, well, that's going to be a lot.
It's going to be super interesting. I know that.
Somebody brought up, ultimately it was about prioritization of features and stuff. Bandwidth is, I don't know what exactly the question was, but the resulting conversation came to that. And this is going to be, that's probably going to be the first thing that we do is put up a priorities vote, with that GI.
Yes.
Because there's at least 13 things we got to do, right?
Oh yeah.
So that's how many options there are.
I have a short list that I'm going to have to bring it up to. We'll probably post it for discussion to see if anything should be added to it before we, put together a formal issue. And you know what? I should try to do that in front, before we roll out, so that maybe we can, get that out pretty quickly. There's also stuff like LCP decisions. We've held off on a couple of LCP decisions that we want to do because we're like, let's wait for this so everybody can weigh in. So, yep.
Yep. And there's even a couple of things that have passed in 21 that just got, priorities got to the point where there was huge features that were being worked on, and things like being able to toggle the matter display. Like in the Dragon console,
that was the very first
one.
Very first proposed issue by JSON, I think, and it's not done yet. So
so that'll be in there to vote on.
Yes, that's awesome. That'll be there soon.
Let's see here. That's what I've got.
Okay,
that's what I've got. Is there anything that you wanted since we're here? Is there anything that you wanted to hash out while we had a couple of minutes, or?
I don't think so. I've got so much stuff in my head from what they're doing with the site-wide, and we actually have the UI nearly synced with the back end, and so it's a matter of a couple of extra verifications, and they're also doing a what is it? There was one big piece. Something that will be interesting is when you go to the wallet. And I don't know what it'll look like yet, but they have to get this out before we roll out governance, that on the wallet screen at the top where you show your claimed addresses, if you have a claimed address, not that you have to, but if you have a claimed address, you will be able to click on that address that you have liquidity in. And, it has to be V3 liquidity at 1% and so on and so on. And if you want to add other types, you can get with us and we can figure out if we can do that or not. But either way, that you would click on it, it would check, it would say, okay, I can see you have some liquidity there. We don't know precisely how what kind of feedback you will get, but once it is there, you will see a checkbox that means that the system is doing the nightly snapshot to check your liquidity. Because in our liquidity, it actually, we should cover this. In our
I was going to say the way that we do the
model, we do not require you to lock your liquidity token where you can't control it and where there's a risk of who knows what, because it's sitting in a smart contract somewhere. With our liquidity model, and you have to pay that fee, which is not a small fee to put it into that contract. So with our model, all you have to do is hold your liquidity, claim your account, and tell us that you want us to check your liquidity on that account. And if you don't want us to, then you never click that button. I mean, it's all good. But if you want us to, you would check it. It would say, yes, I'm checking it. And if you remove it, or if maybe you clicked on the wrong address that doesn't have the liquidity in it, it'll check the first night, and then it'll say, oh, they don't have liquidity there, blow that away. So it'll basically erase the check mark, and and it's all clean. And we did that because that was the most scalable way to do it and in clean way where it's simple for the user and not costly for us, because we're not checking every single claimed wallet. We're not checking every single LP token in any of those
Yeah,
claimed
and you're
wallets.
also not making a feature mandatory if somebody doesn't want it.
Right. You don't have to have it at all. So it'll be a neat thing, but that'll be something when we roll out. We need to make sure we tell people, if you are putting liquidity in, make sure you go here and do this. And it's beautiful because I don't know if you'd call it non-custodial or not, but we don't even have a handle on your tokens
I
at
think
all.
that's
It's
great.
just, we just look
That's
at
super important because I mean I played around with a bunch of other different farming strategies and different ways that other people do it, and like by and large it's all really cool stuff. But what
them.
I like the ability to do here is just to be able to, I mean, and that's kind of it's a Den thing, but it's because it's a Dragon Chain thing, because you're on a platform that you can literally just say, hey, look on that network and just tell me what's there. That's all I need to know.
Yeah. And by the way, I saw a whole bunch of back and forth on Twitter yesterday. And in fact, on Den, somebody posted on Den about the theoretically a precedent in Georgia of a couple that went to court with the IRS because they had staked on Tezos, I think.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
They were taxed more than they should have been, because it shouldn't have been taxed because of the way it was the way they acquired these other tokens. And so it's interesting because potentially there could be a use case for us to say, hey, is there any reasonable use case that would bring people into Den if they could stake for tax reasons any of the tokens they have, including tokens that wouldn't normally be stakeable,
without having to move them in?
Yeah, you just say, oh, I have this account over here. Can you look at that? And now you can stake them.
Yeah, and
I don't know.
That's not the same conversation, but it's a similar conversation that I was having with somebody about. Dang, what was it about? It was about legally problematic things that happen on blockchain, where the law wasn't written in a time that kind of stuff existed.
Yeah.
And so it was like, okay, let's assume, for example, like somebody sends you something to your Ethereum address that you don't want to have custody over. Is it more or less legally bad to then send it to a burn address?
Right.
You know what I mean? And it was
Right.
like, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't have these questions. And that's the stuff with blockchain that you deal with that you don't expect to. It's like, okay, like this exists. What is my, like, am I legally allowed to dispose of it, or now am I handling contraband? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or so that anytime that
Yeah.
you can like separate that and make it not like, oh, okay, we're not custody. Like that's, to me, that's clean in a way that, like, we don't know what the law is going to be yet because they still haven't gotten around to figuring that out.
Yeah.
So we kind of have to be like, I guess we'll make it the best way we can.
Yep. I had a conversation
not
you had on
requiring
Reddit or Twitter about
yeah.
where they thought it should be is unconscionable that anybody could send to any address.
Like the postal
token.
service, right?
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
Like the post office.
Yeah, like the post office. Yes. Yes.
Like the
It's
U.S.
hilarious.
Post Office. Yeah,
I agree. I'd rather not get all that mail that I get.
I tell you what, man, stuff like Den amazes me, but I'm still amazed at things like mail. Like the fact that I can write a letter. I'm in Florida. You're in Washington State, is that right?
Hmm. Hmm.
I can write a letter to you, put it in an envelope, put up, here's 50 cents for gas. Can you drive this to Joe for me? And it'll get there, and it'll be dropped off at your house or whatever. That's for. You can't give somebody 50 cents for gas money and ask them to drive across the country. That's amazing.
Right. Yeah. It's crazy.
So anyway.
Cool. All right. Well, I think we got it all, right?
Yeah, yeah. So that's what's going on. That's where we're at. Governance is closer than ever. It's still on track.
Yep.
And a couple of quick reminders. We have our weekly shows. I'm gonna love it when there's like a bunch of unrelated shows too, and we can start being like, oh yeah, and then like on my show on coffee,
Mm-hmm.
I would love to just shout out other people's shows. I want to make that a thing. But as far as the related to Den and Dragon Chain, there's 3 shows a week. There's this one. Well, I guess there's 4 shows a week, huh? Blockchain's not related directly, but it's just hosted by, and it's on Den, so it counts.
It's modeled entirely inside of Den, so it's
it counts.
Yeah.
So coffee on Wednesday mornings, governance Thursday afternoons, super happy Tuesday mornings, and World Blockchain around lunchtime on Thursdays. That's all Eastern times. And then you can look on this to see where they're posted in their respective layers.
The other thing about WBRT is, I mean, it started as a local meetup group. We talked about that this morning
Yeah.
on the roundtable, and we essentially transferred ownership to a DAO, where the DAO is controlling the format, the segments,
Yeah,
the
within that layer.
questions, the
That
topics,
is the way it's being functionally
everything.
done. Yeah.
And anybody can come and get a piece of it.
Well, that's what gave me
start
the
there.
idea to
So,
do my Gainesville layer in the first place, because I'm really about like very small applications. Like Joe, I know that you're this like enterprise guy. Like, oh, this can be this huge, massively scale up, and I'm over here like, okay, how do you scale it down to just like
yeah.
my neighborhood?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yep.
That kind of
Yep.
thing. So, yeah, got it all
Didn't help
covered.
spot. That's awesome.
Well,
Okay.
cool, man. Thanks for hanging out and talking about this with me again. I think that these shows are important just to keep track of like what's going on behind the scenes and things like that. Because the more people that come in check out, then the more questions there's going to be. And so, yeah.
Now, this is a chance to actually explain verbally some of the things that are sometimes a lot of, it's a lot of, it takes a lot of words sometimes. So, yep. Excellent.
All right. Well, that's it. I will. Oh, we got one comment. Let's see what that says over here. Oh, Zahid. Hi.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us. See you next time. And I lost my place again. I do that thing where I click the buttons on StreamYard, and I lose my place. There it is.
Right on.
All right. Thanks again,
See you,
everyone. We'll
everybody.
see you next Thursday,
Thanks.
same time, same day of the week. Bye. Cheers.
Bye.
Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best.
Adaptable, all capital, label radical yet rational. A tactical approach is palpable if this animal is fallible. But that conclusion is laughable, so with for all detachable from the mandible. You see it now?
All right.
We didn't end it.
What's that?